Welcome back, partners of commercial fishermen and supporters of. If you've been here before, welcome back. I totally love you. I so appreciate your time and clicking play on our podcast each week and choosing to hang out with us when you can have so many other podcasts you could be listening to right now, and you choose to spend time with our community. I truly appreciate you. If you haven't been here before, welcome. I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, to celebrate all things that have to do with partners, our lifestyles, the ocean, people who know more than us about whatever it is that we need to know more about. Okay. We're talking relationships, mental health, finances, fishing safety. The list goes on. And the most important part of this entire podcast is really to have a deeper connection to our community, because our community is the bread and butter. It's the soul. It's the heart and soul. It's what makes the freaking world go round, especially within the commercial fishing industry. So thank you for being here as always. And what an incredible year that we've had, y'all. This is the last episode of 2024, and we did it. We made it through another year. And that means that we just gained so much more strength than we ever knew that was possible. The challenges that we went through have given us new perspectives and new ways to go forward and to evolve with this ever-changing industry and this ever-changing experience as a human. Honestly, that's really what it comes down to. This is our lives. This podcast and this community is here to reflect back your value and your worth in ways that we can continue to grow and expand and create more prosperity and abundance for ourselves within, so that we can shine that to our loved ones and shine that out to our fishing communities and ripple out into the world. It seems like a huge undertaking, but it's really not. It really does start with how we feel within. It really starts with how we feel about ourselves. And those are the small ripples that make a difference. It really does. We don't have to change the world, but once we change the world within, those are the small differences that make a difference overall. How many times can I say difference? You know what I'm talking about. I love y'all. It's great to be able to just chat and just be unedited. Here we go. Part 2 of this incredible episode with Lindsey Hoadley. What a freaking great way to end this year. I did this on purpose. I wanted to split this up in 2 interviews just for that reason. If you haven't heard the first part, I highly suggest that you go back and listen, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So many nuggets to be had in there. And in this episode, we continue talking about what it's like to run a business and what it means to have a support team and what those roles look like. Like, who's on your team? What does that mean to have a team? What are the people's jobs? What do they do to help me move forward? And how can you build a team? How is that attainable for you? By the way, it's super attainable, and you probably have a team and you didn't really even realize it. That's how I felt. I was like, oh wait, I have some of these people already that work with us, and that means they're on our team. How cool. I love this concept of knowing that there is outside support to help build this one beautiful project, initiative, business that we want to put out into the world to help support ourselves, our families, and ripple out into the industry. We also talk about the balance of the entrepreneurial workload and motherhood and family. I think we can all understand that on some level of how to actually get that balanced. And, what is that word balance? It really just means a way that feels joyful and a way that feels like you're actually living your life and your life isn't running you into the ground. So Lindsey talks about how she is able to do that and what that looks like for her. And we also talk about her new manifestation course that I freaking highly recommend you sign up for. It's less than $10. I devoured it. Lindsey goes into depth of how she's able to manifest her dream life and work life in detail. True magic in there. She talks about her past in such a vulnerable, beautiful, transparent way that you're just like, what? Give this woman a book deal. I just can't recommend it enough. I'll put the link in the show notes. And she also talks about how she and her husband were able to strengthen their bond even when times were tough in the fishing industry, and how they're able to just really join together when, let's say, the boat isn't built on time or the engine isn't installed in time and you're missing out on a season. And yeah, I know that people out there understand what this is like more than you'd like to know. But I love hearing how Lindsey and John were able to keep their relationship strong and thriving throughout it all. And I hope you enjoy this. If you like this episode, please screenshot and tag us on Instagram to further support this podcast. It really does help if you just click follow or leave a review. This helps us gain visibility and helps with future sponsors, which is what we want to help continue this community, keep it thriving, and to give y'all everything you need whenever you need it. Like in our private group chat. I have to shout it out. You've probably heard me talk about it again, and I'm going to keep talking about it because it's that freaking good. Honestly, for the price of a latte, you can join our private group chat for a month or just stay in there as long as you want because we're not going anywhere. It's so incredible to be able to have that instant access and to talk to women like Lindsey and ask questions. You can just say, hey, what's going on? I live in this fishery. What's going on with your fishery? Here's some challenges that we're going through. What are you guys? How did you guys get over this? How do I get more involved in the fishery? What do you guys do? I want to be more involved in my partner's fishery. How do you advocate? How are you balancing motherhood? How do you get through these tough times of feeling maybe isolated or lonely or, just wanting to connect with people who actually get it? Like, that's really what it's all about. Instant access, cost of a latte. It serves you for a lot longer than that 30 minutes of enjoying that latte will, for sure. All right. I hope to see y'all in there. If you want to join it, you can go to POCFpride.com and click on the menu that's titled sign up and just click on it, sign up, boom, you get instant access. And I'd love to see you in there. Anything, as always, I love you. Happy freaking 2024 ending and happy 2025 beginning. Here's to our future. Here's to our lives that are full of abundance and prosperity, to the safety of our fishermen, and with all the love and POCF pride, y'all. Enjoy. I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, an extension of an online community for partners to connect and feel less alone. Our podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, and supporters of the industry to learn, laugh, vent, and hear stories about this incredibly unique way of life. What do you say? Let's dive in. Did you know for the price of a latte, you can get 1 month access to our epic private group chat? Just think, you can have instant connection to other POCFs for 30 days or more anytime you need us. Once you sign up, you have instant access to a diverse group of partners to connect and hear how they overcome their challenges in the industry. Learn how to expand and grow your direct-to-consumer fishing businesses. You get on-demand group support for yourself anytime you need it. You can learn about what's happening outside of your fishing bubble and bond over relatable ways to weather through the hard times. You can learn more about what's happening in fishing communities outside the U.S. and in the U.S. if you're international like some of our members. You can learn from other partners on how to get more involved in your fishery. You'll have a group of peers who are willing to explain terms and other things you might not understand. You have a place to bounce ideas off of, a place to relate to this unique lifestyle, empathize with others, and celebrate the wins, a place to listen and learn and be able to ask questions, a place of genuine kindness, positivity, and friendship. As one member in our private chat said, connecting with others in this lifestyle is not only valuable to me, but it also gives me a feeling of worth in being able to share my experiences and help others. We'd love to have you join. Go to POCFpride.com and select the menu option Sign Up to get instant access today. We can't wait to meet you. So your team consists of, from what I've gathered from our convo so far, is you have the mentor, you have a CPA that you really trust. John has is he working with somebody else as well?
We have a deckhand who we've now had for 3 years. We love him. He's the other critical part of the process. We have our the buyer, like different buyers that John has relationships with. And the restaurant team. So we've got that. They're like a crucial part of our team. They're like our bread and butter. And so we've got the restaurant team, we have our deckhand, we have the CPA, we have the mentor. I have my manufacturers on my side and like my sales reps that I work with. regularly. Um, and then we would like to, I want to build a video team, for sure. Right now I do all of it, but I want to build a video team. Um, people who can just be producing. I mean, John has so much footage and like, I want someone else just like really pumping that out for him. So I think that will be another step as well. Having
I
a
love
video
that.
team for him. He actually does have, he's got some really killer relationships with some videographers that they team up ever so often. And they have a lot of hefty ideas. I think that the future is like documentary type work because for the advocacy part of all of this, like I really like our guys need to be sharing their story. They really need to be sharing of what's truly going on out there instead of other people who are so disconnected to the ocean telling everyone what's going on. We need the men who actually are there eating, breathing, sleeping, truly like loving and passionate about that environment, who know the most out of anybody. We need them telling their stories. So I really think the future is a lot of documentary and video work too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's amazing. I love watching the videos. At the Good Captain CO. Is that correct on Instagram? So good. We'll say it again at the end, but just wanted to shout out. Okay. This is such a great, rich conversation. I appreciate you just telling us it all. And so I wanted to ask you about that year hiatus. And I think we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to dive in a little deeper on whenever you took that year hiatus for the Good Captain and to really get in there and build the business. Like, what did that look like for you? Like, you're taking a break, but you're still kind of building towards something. So, how were you able to give yourself that rest, but also keep that creative spirit going?
oh man, that's a good question. Um, I think scheduling is really important. Especially as an entrepreneur, no one's telling you what to do. You don't have a boss. You're your own boss, right? So staying hyper organized, I think, is really important. It's also really easy for us to work around the clock. All of my entrepreneur friends work around the clock. There's like, are there days off? Not really. But at the same time, you can still freely create your own schedule, which is my favorite part about being an entrepreneur. Like, we'll have like a Tuesday where John and I are like definitely not, in someone else's job, like working at 9 a.m., like having to be somewhere. We're like driving down the freeway, like going to do something rad, like for the business, like together. And it's a Tuesday, and or we're taking our girls like on a trip on a Tuesday, like whatever. It's like so fun. But when during my hiatus, just like having a schedule, and also creating deadlines. And during my hiatus, I was working on the children's book. And so we had deadlines. Like there was a date that we needed to have it done with, and I had X amount of paintings I needed to paint. So just taking out my Bible is my planner. It's actually right here next to me, and I will show you because it's beautiful. My Magic of I planner. I always promote this in my courses because it literally is my Bible. So I can plan the whole year out and obviously month to month. And so during the hiatus with the children's book, while I was simultaneously building the Good Captain Co., I created a deadline for the Good Captain Co. So I wanted to launch for Father's Day. So that gave me like a very clear deadline. And so I was able to, work backwards. So here's the deadline. I've got 3 months. I have to, I know how long my printers are going to take. I know how long this will take. This is when I have to have this in by, then I have to have the design process done by this time, etc. And like same with the book. So like the author needed to have it done X amount of time. I knew how long I needed for the painting part, but then I had all the graphic design part that I had to do, which was a whole nother part of the job. Then I had to build the book, and InDesign. Like I've already published, like the coloring book and things. So that was my realm. And she hired me to do all that stuff because, that that was what I knew how to do. So I knew how long this was going to take. And so I think just, and then, obviously like with summer being like with the kids being home, there's all that balance too. So like, and this year, we've been on a big, like very little screen time. And so that makes it also like extra difficult keeping the kids busy around you without that screen crutch. We're like huge advocates on keeping our kids off screens as much as possible. But even more so this year, like John has walked the TV out to the garage like many a time during certain behavioral issues. And my kids don't have iPads. So like I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old and they don't have iPads. So they do, but we only use them for travel, which makes them incredible travelers. I digress. But there's always that like crazy balance, with the kids home. And so right now they're both old enough. They're both in elementary school. So like right now I have like the whole morning until 12:30. So I'm just like everything is so highly like very detailed and scheduled out. I know exactly what I need to be getting done each day. So it just takes a lot of organization and self-motivation when you don't have a boss. But I think that's a hard part for us, right? Like not having a boss to tell you what to do, and you wake up in the morning and you're like, what am I supposed to do today? But like having all of the goals, and like I talk about this in my manifestation course, like when we have our goals and our dreams, the way to stay highly organized is you read, like I make at the beginning of the year, each year I make a manifestation list. So it's like all of my goals for John and I and our family, like business, relationship, family, all the things. And I read them every morning, like before I start work. And so it really like recalibrates like your focus for those long-term goals. And so like I never forget what the goal is. Like I always know what, our eyes are on the prize. And so when you have that organized list for like the long term, like the big stuff, you can kind of break it down for all the short term stuff. And so it's just always a focus. Like when I have my quiet time over coffee, once the girls are in school, or when Echo was in preschool or whatever, just having that time, like to schedule everything out and having like a morning ritual. Like, so my morning ritual starts off with like going over my goals for the year. And then continuing to always break things up and break things down.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for your open heart and everything. It's just so lovely. It's so refreshing. And so we talked about some of the best parts of being a business owner, like enjoying a Tuesday and being with your loved one and, doing all these cool things. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about starting your own business?
Yes, yes. I think the biggest misconception is in most things is, thinking that like success happens overnight. In anything that we do, like whether we have our own career, working for someone else, or we have built our own career working for ourselves, I think success takes time. I mean, to master your trade, it takes a decade. It takes 10 years of commitment. And I think that, and what I see a lot of this in my manifestation course. I have about 1,000 women in my first course. I'm launching the second course, or the version 2.0 this weekend with the website, if I can get it all done. But what I see a lot is people don't have the patience to commit for long periods of time. And you have to commit and you have to keep going. And we make mistakes, because to be human is to make mistakes, and making mistakes are awesome. They're like such a pivotal learning point in the process. And so, not letting like making those mistakes and like making those heartbreaking decisions or being in those heartbreaking moments, those are the times when you're tested the most. And the people who have the grit will keep going. Like you won't stop. Like you just get through the hurdles, right? And so I think the biggest misconception is that that success is overnight, and that it's going to be easy. So not easy. Like there's so many um cons to being an entrepreneur, as opposed to working for someone with benefits and 401ks and all of those things, and um like having guaranteed salaries and all those things. Like you don't have any of that as an entrepreneur. And you're always having to reinvest in yourself, and so, and like, finding the loopholes in taxes and writing things off, and taking everything that you make and investing it back in so that you're not giving it all away to the government, like all those things. And so, it's just the long game. And I think that that's what a lot of people miss is not knowing that the stuff takes time.
Yeah.
You can't rush it.
Yeah.
Um, and you just have to try to make as minimal mistakes as possible. Risk, but perhaps not risk too much. It's just this beautiful dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that you're launching your course. I didn't know that. You're relaunching it. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I've been writing it the last couple months because there's so much stuff that happens like year to year, and I hadn't updated it with it's a very personal thing. I mean, you can Google, how to manifest and like mindset stuff. Like you can Google that stuff so easily, but my course is very personalized with like personal examples of literally how I do things, and these very intimate experiences of how the manifestation process works, and um how how to really enjoy the ride, and like trusting the process and eliminating as much stress and anxiety like out of life. And I write and I write and write. So I've been writing it for like months, just updating it with all the new stuff that's happened. And I mean, I've used this like process for so many things, from like just so many things. It's just really fun. I love writing. Like you're such an amazing writer. I like,
Oh,
exactly like how that feels. So yeah, it's been fun.
so exciting. And thank you. I received that compliment. Writing is it's something from the soul, right? If everybody out there, if you are into, well, any kind of creative process, it's like it just hits you and you feel like you're channeling in a sense. You're just kind of letting that energy flow of wherever it comes from. It truly is magic. Whatever you're trying to create, it is a true form of magic that we can see tangibly. And
Yeah.
part of that magic is the fact that you have been a mom while you've been building this incredible, I will say, empire, because it feels that way because you have so many different beautiful, successful business journeys that you've been on. And I'd love for you to share because you're so good at that. Isn't Lindsey just amazing? What advice would you give to the Partners of Commercial Fishermen moms out there who are interested in starting a business, whether it be in the fishing industry or something on their own, but they feel that they do not have the capacity to take it on top of family responsibilities?
Right. Honestly, I think the number one part of this is communication with your partner. I don't think, if you don't have the support from your partner and like the belief in yourself, like if you have a partner that doesn't believe in your ideas, in your dreams, that's like swimming upstream. When you have an intimate relationship, with your spouse. And so I think it's all about communication. I think that you have to be on board, like you have to be in this together. Um, I've had clients in the past in my entrepreneur course who are like, my husband does not support this idea. And that's heartbreaking to me. Um, and then they have to go prove themselves and hope that they win over, the approval. But like, that's awful to me. So I think that part is the most crucial part, having that type of emotional support, and then communicating to create how it's all going to work,
Mhm.
like how are the kids going to get covered? Like, what is the everyday activity going to look like? How is the scheduling going to look like? How do you balance their job, which is not a scheduled job? It's like they work with the weather. You can't plan shit. Like, like we can never plan anything because we work around the weather. And so, how do you create like a lucrative schedule where you have the time and the capacity to carry out all the tasks, which is totally doable, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. So I think that hunkering down and like really becoming a master at your trade, so like becoming really smart in what it is that you want to pursue, like, is it an Etsy store, are you crafting, like how are you going to promote it on social media? Like, people get on TikTok and blow up, like, like how, like are you researching how to do that? And so becoming very knowledgeable in your ideas, I think is really, really important too. So like once you have the emotional approval and emotional support from your partner, you can kind of move into that fun groundwork of becoming a master at your trade and becoming very knowledgeable in the plans and then writing out the plan. I think that knowing how much, investment you need in your ideas is really crucial, and not having any surprises there, and like really mapping out like how you're going to get your business loans and where's the money going to come from, and all that stuff is really important and very doable. But I think
Yeah.
those are the two like most important things to like get started with.
Love that. I love that
Yeah.
you mentioned business loans. Also, the part about the partner not being supportive. And I love the communication point that you bring up. I was in a coaching community and we were talking about that. And one of the points that one of the women brought up was that sometimes your partner just doesn't understand fully. And so that's why they can't fully support you. So, like you're saying, communicate, where's this coming from? How do you plan on doing this is going to help them see that a little bit better. Also, this was kind of like, oh, wow. Another way that people might not be supportive is because they don't see it in them for themselves. And so they are projecting that onto you, which makes me so sad. But it's also such a true thing to be like, this isn't about you. Like, if someone doesn't believe in what you're doing, that's on them. It has nothing to do with what is inside of you to make whatever you want to be incredibly joyful or successful in however you define success. So I feel that it is, like you said, communication is so important. This is my idea. This is why I feel it's important. I feel that we should harvest from, we harvest from the ocean in your way. I want to be able to harvest in the ocean in my way. And this is how I'm going to be able to do it. And if there,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. We have every right to have our own, what's the word? Our own purpose, right? Especially for moms. I mean, we get so consumed during pregnancy, birth, postpartum, like we lose our identity. Like you really do. I mean, it all gets thrown into taking care of a human. And so we lose ourselves a lot. And so we have every right to have something for ourselves. And not having that support is absolutely going to be something that makes things difficult. And so it doesn't mean that you can't do it, but holy cow, doesn't make it easy. I think another thing is that's really important is to write the plan. Like if your partner needs convincing, I think a very legitimate question is, show me how it's going to work. You want to do this? Hell yeah. Like, but show me how it's going to, like, what's the plan? And having a business plan is super important no matter what. So, like, if your partner does need convincing, take the time to write the plan, build the spreadsheets. Like, like I said, where's the money going to come from? Like men are very logical, and so we have to take the emotion out of it, and for ourselves and for our partner, really show that this is a good idea and this is how it's going to work, because you don't always just want to fly by the seat of your pants on an idea, and so that could work too. But yeah, we have every right to create our own identity and have our own passions, all the things like, oh.
Absolutely. Especially, I think, as partners, because our partners' jobs can be so overwhelming that it can feel like it's its own identity and it's its own child that you're taking care of. It's like, well, you can build that too. And you deserve to have that because your other outlets, your other creative outlets need a place to be. They need to exist in their own way. And so Lindsay's course would be a great way to learn how to do that. So, okay, here's a little light question. So how many hours per week do you think it takes to run a successful online business?
Right. Oh my gosh, this is such a loaded question because I would say, well, you never stop. And it also depends on how much money you want to make a month, do you want to make a couple $1,000s a month, like for a couple extra, bills or expenses or whatever? Do you want to make 10K? Do you want to make 50K? Do you want to make 100K? Like what is that? And so I can't really answer that question because $100,000 a month business looks very different than if you just want to, make a couple $1,000s to cover, certain things. And so I think that I don't think entrepreneurs are part-time entrepreneurs, right? Like nothing's really part-time. Unless like I said, you want to structure it that way. To just, like bring in a little additional things like, here and there. So I think that it's just, I mean, I work every day. But I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun and I can incorporate the family into it. Like yesterday we had a photo shoot and the girls, of course, like came along and, I want them to be a part of the business. I want them to see how to run a business. Like my oldest, it helps me pack orders. They've always just seen this lifestyle. And so, and I really want them to know how to do this themselves if they want to do it one day. And so, I'm always working, like we're always working, but what we're doing is really fun. So I don't know how to answer that question. I think it just takes, creating the goal that you want and working backwards, and then creating the schedule that allows you those hours, to fulfill what you need to fulfill and making sure that the things that you're doing, like we talked about before, we started the interview, not working just to work, like making sure that what you're doing is applying to the bottom line. So I don't know. I don't know what that number is. But it's every day. I mean, when we're on vacation, like I'm still working, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's fair enough for sure. I know it was a heavy one. Okay, so let's talk about heavy because I feel that I am
oh,
mentally going through this right now. If people don't know, Chris's engine went out, and so we've been dealing with that. Luckily, he's had another boat he can use, thank God. But there is the engine situation that we all tend to go through one way or the other, whether you're a deckhand or you're a captain, like boat shiz happens. And so there was a haul out experience that y'all had a while back. How did you mentally get through that?
oh man. I love this question, especially for this specific demographic of yours. The boat haul out. Holy cow. It's a lot. It's so intense. You know what, honestly, what I think got us through the boat haul out was the fact that we had already gone through really hard
Mm.
stuff before that. So we had kind of graduated into the boat haul out already. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get too into it because the podcast could be hours longer if I really get into it. But when we bought our lobster business, this is our sixth season, so we bought it 5 years ago, right when Echo was born, and we bought a lemon of a boat. I won't get too into it, but basically when we took ownership of the boat and John brought it up from Ventura to Santa Barbara, it fucking fell apart. And despite the boat inspection and all the things that the previous owner had told us, which were all lies. The boat fell apart. So here he was with a brand new baby on a boat that didn't work, and our very first lobster season that we had just invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into. And so that was our biggest test, like what happened back then. And I mean, he was pulling traps from the bottom of the ocean by hand. Like off our diving boat, like because the lobster boat was broken. Like it was gnarly. And so he has literally, before our boat haul out last year, he'd already like literally touched every single system on the boat, rebuilt it himself. Because the boat yards are so impacted. It takes months and months and months and months and months to get in. Like this was an emergency type situation. He couldn't wait for his friends at the boat yard in Santa Barbara to like tackle the issues. And so he had to do it himself and get his traps out and keep an income coming. Like it was a fucking shit show. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. I've never seen him so stressed out ever. And I was too. And so, and then, and then we get the boat working and then it fucking dies and he has to get hauled in. Like, I'll never forget that phone call. I mean, that was the hard part. So, when it comes to being an entrepreneur and talking about like how to get, like you just get through the hard parts because your eyes are on the prize down here and you just fucking get through it and you come together. So like when like things get super stressful for marriages in general, whether it could be anything, right? It doesn't have to just be business stuff. So many things can go wrong in life, but like I think the success comes by coming together, like not going apart, like really like we have to hold on together, like we have to hold each other together, like or everything is going to fall and everything is going to collapse. And so we really came together like during that time. And so the boat haul out was really hard, but we had these past experiences and we could really hunker down. And so he went into the boat yard and they laughed at him because when he told them all the things that he wanted and needed to do, they were like, yeah, we'll give you a year and a half. And he's like, I got to do this in 6 months. And they were like, that's a fucking joke. And they laughed at him. And he's like, it's not funny. This is my life. I have to get this done in 6 months. I cannot be in the boatyard longer than this. And so he did it in 6 months. He pulled it off. I mean, and he can do anything. He can do electrical work. He can do plumbing work. He can do, I mean, I know there's no plumbing on a boat, is there? But like, yeah, I mean, we renovated our home and he can do literally he can do anything. And so he's been working on boats for 20 years. And so he has the knowledge. And so he was in the boatyard working side by side with the tradesmen, carrying out this massive boat haul out situation. And so and then he was able to sort of lease a boat to continue his diving. So he'd be in the boatyard, dive, boatyard, dive, boatyard, dive, boatyard, dive. Like it was intense. And so relying on other people is really hard because first of all, as an entrepreneur, no one's going to work as hard as you. So there's that element to it. Also, you can't trust everybody. So, if you're not there, is the work getting done and how good of the work is it? Like, are they doing what they say they're doing? That's really a fascinating part of all of it. And so he was there day and night. I mean, working 7 days a week for those 6 months to get the boat, like to meet our deadline. And on our 40th birthdays, the boat was in the water. It was like wild. We were like 2 weeks late for lobster season, but he pulled it off. Like, and so, hunkering down at the house, which was great for the hiatus, like element of it, but also sacrificing our income. It was a lot of sacrifice, but it had to be done. Like, we needed this platform for a while. And this was kind of like the last element of this part of the fishing business to do. So we hunkered down, coming together. Those are the
Yeah.
notes.
I love it. Yeah. And now he has a super fast boat, right? Because he has a new engine that he put in. Chris told me
Oh,
about
oh my
it.
God. It's everything he wanted it to be. It was worth all of it. And then, like thinking about also like everything is kind of just like a breath in the wind, right? Like these circumstances that we're in, like they're not forever. So I think about it in terms of like childbirth. Like childbirth is really fucking hard. And no matter the how you decide to birth, it's really hard, but it's a day. And my first birth was 2 days. So there's that too. Some births go longer than a day, but it's a day or it's 2 days in your life and then it's over and you did it, And so like same with the boat haul out, 6 months of our lives and it's over. And then we could put it past us and then we can say, we did that. We
Mhm.
fucking did it. And our marriage thrived. Our relationship was solid. There was a lot of sex. Like that was really important. And, we came together and we did it and we accomplished it. And like, here we are today, a year later. Like, it was a breath in the wind. Is that a
Yeah.
saying? Is that the saying?
It is now. I love that. I think that sounds great. I love it, love it, love it. And yes, these experiences just make us obviously another way for us to totally relate to our community in a more intimate way because we've been there.
Yeah.
We know what it's like. You're not alone out, everybody. It's so true. All right, we're winding down. I know you got a big day. We have like 3-ish questions left. So, how do you prioritize time to yourself with 2 little ones? And I'd like to know, how did you prioritize time when you had a newborn?
It's such a good question. I have to admit that I don't really take that like a lot of time to myself. It's like something that I really need to be better at. With the newborn part. So I work with midwives and they are so wise. And I was told when I was first pregnant with my first daughter, how important it is to take a month after birth, to stay in and not do anything and like to really establish the relationship with your newborn, to keep things really quiet, to ease them from the womb to our world. It's a very shocking experience for them, and for us to be able to put our feet in their shoes, which I think is a huge disconnect in our fast society. Like women bounce back, we have to get back to work, we have to do this, like you have to put your baby away and like a fucking, I don't know, in a crib or another room, or like, and go 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 go. And there are practices around the world that are so opposite that, where women stay in for 40 days where they're totally taken care of. And so the way I prioritize it having a newborn is to plan ahead and to know that like I stay in for 30 days like with my newborn, which is so not something that we do here in our culture. And some women don't want to do that. Some women, they want to be out and about, and to each their own. That's rad. For me, like establishing that relationship with my newborn is really important, and just letting my body physically just recoup after like the shocking experience. And so like planning ahead, like having help from grandparents or your friends to like take the kids so that you can really hunker down, and like having the responsibilities distributed and taken care of. It does, because it doesn't have to all be on you, but it takes planning. Like you have to be really proactive and like advocate for yourself, and create that for yourself. So that's what I did with Echo. I did stay in for 30 days with her as well, and I did that with Soleil. Um, and and I was really supported, having meals planned out and having a meal train, like whatever that looks like these days. And I will do that with this little baby in my belly for sure. So um these days, um I have started to have like girls' nights, like where like once in a blue moon I'll plan like a date with like a girlfriend, which is like a really big deal. Especially because like when John comes home, like I just want to be with him. Like I just want our family to be together. I don't need to escape. I don't need to go somewhere else. Like because he's gone, it's kind of that fireman schedule. I do get time to myself. Like I put the children down and I have as long as I don't fall asleep putting them to bed, I have time to like really recuperate, like, and just like be alone. And taking the time, like when they're in school to like, you know, to go to workout classes or meet a girlfriend for coffee or like I do those things. I do wish I did more of it. Like self-care type stuff, because it's really important. I do need to get better at that. But yeah, like with our fisherman schedule, I mean, you do get alone time and it really does keep everything really balanced and healthy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Love it. I love that it's a work in progress like it is for so many people. And it's so honest. And yes, the schedule, how it benefits us for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So we know about your big announcement. So stoked for you. Congratulations. And it'll be your third. And what is if you want to share, what's the projected date of this homecoming?
Yes, the homecoming. It is the end of April, so it's perfect timing with lobster season. It's bad weather at the islands, so diving is can be like at a minimal. It's like this perfect little like cutch time. It's just yeah, it'll be interesting because when we had Echo, it was go time. Like it was go time. And John's like, wow, I'll actually be able to like really soak this one up. And so yeah, pretty cosmic timing on that one. So
Oh, I love it. All the
yeah,
commercial fishing kiddos coming all their different seasons.
yeah.
And so the final question, what does the title partner of a commercial fisherman mean to you?
Well, I take it like a badge of honor because it takes a very specific woman to do this. It really does. And I've seen disastrous relationships where it didn't work, where having that offshore lifestyle did not work at home and led to a lot of, you know, not healthy things. Like I've seen that in the community, like not in our community. I've just seen it before. And so it's not for everybody. And so to be a partner of a commercial fisherman, you have to be extremely independent and really confident. And I'm a highly independent individual. I always have been my entire life. And so I think that having that sense of independence and not the codependency and having that confidence that you know of being alone and having that honor of like I was talking about our realm, like my realm is the home. Like I keep it so clean and healthy and we have our schedules and everything. And it's funny because when he comes home and like he wants to like if sometimes he'll say something and I'm like, this is my boat. Like I've got this. Like don't come in here and start to like move things around and change things up. Like I won't do that on the boat. Don't do that on mine. like I got this. Like this is mine. And so like it's funny we just like have that and I take a lot of pride in it. Like I'm so proud of it of what I'm doing here on the home front. And having him gone a lot, like it does also give me the time to manage it well, here. And so having that kind of like also, you know what? Also, I think what helps a lot in having this role work so well is that when he comes home, he jumps into action into the home life. Like he's working so hard and then he comes here and he's cleaning the kitchen, cooking the dinners, putting children to bed, bathing children. It's like we have this very cool relationship where it would not work for me if he came home and sat on the couch or was on his phone or wasn't helping out. It's like, no, like, this is not just my job. Like, while this is my boat and I manage it, when you're here, like, the home tasks are between both of us. And it is so rad. Like, when if my night, if I'm putting the kids down, I come out to a sparkling clean kitchen. I mean, the cleaners could have been here, but my husband did it after being offshore for days on end and working his ass off. He comes home and like the kitchen is fucking sparkling, you know? So I don't have to worry about that when I'm exhausted and I put the kids down. He's already done that, and vice versa. Like, if he's putting the kids down, I'm making everything sparkly clean, so it feels good being in our home. And so I think that's really crucial too, is like, and that's part of being a good captain. You know, coming home and like being so hands-on, and like, I don't have to ask him to do any of it either. Like, he'll fold the loads of laundry on the couch. Like, I don't have to ask him to. Like, it's just, and we're still getting our business work done as well. So I think that's really crucial too, and like having that really healthy symbiotic relationship in this very wild career, you know, that we have. That's really important.
Love it. Love it. It really defines the word partner. It doesn't stop on the boat. It doesn't stop off the boat. It's a team effort always. And I love that. So beautiful. So how can people get in touch with you? And is there anything you'd like to add that we didn't touch on, even though it was like such a treasure trove of conversation?
Oh my God,
yes, how can people, it's so good.
I love it. I love everything we've talked about. Thank you so much. I don't even know what else I would add. I think that, man, like, from everything from business development to the personal stuff to like really owning our roles as partners, I think I like love everything we talked about. Thanks, Megan.
So good.
So how to get in touch with me? I am mother, son, and the captain. Son is S-U-N. My first daughter's name is Soleil, which is sun in French. So I named the company after her. Mother, son, and the captain. Mother, son is one word. That's where you can find me on Instagram. And then the Good Captain Co., like you said, is our handle for our masculine energy side of everything. And same with the website. So my new website is mothersonandthecaptain.com. And then thegoodcaptainco.com is the other site. And I link between the two websites. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Heck yeah. And by the time this comes out, you will have launched. So it'll be nice and juicy for everybody to dive in whenever they can. So thank you a million bajillions for being here and just being such an open heart and just giving us everything and being such a partner to us. You know, we really love you and appreciate you. And I can't wait to see all the goodness that comes and continues to flourish within your life.
And thank you for all the work that you do. I mean, your advocacy for us is so crucial, and it's also symbiotic, and just like having this community, like, I'm so grateful for you. Like, everything that you're doing is just amazing. So,
well, thank you. I'm getting all teary-eyed over here. Appreciate you, Lindsey. Thanks again for your time.
Of course. Mwah. All right. Bye, Megan.
Thank you so much for listening. To support our community, I'd so appreciate it if you tap the subscribe button to this podcast or write a review. And if you're a POCF who wants to connect further, go to POCFpride.com for weekly vlogs and to learn about opportunities to join our private communities. We'd love to have you.